As we continue to hear about tariffs and a potential recession, the economy looks uncertain. So if you are in a situation where you might need to borrow against your home equity, is this a risky time to do it? Home lending expert Linda Bell from Bankrate joins me this afternoon to give us some insight on the idea, the concept, and what are the risks. So thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Yes, I understand that there are different options when you're tapping into your home equity. So what are the safest ones in this political climate?
Well, I wouldn't say one is necessarily the safest, but you kind of have to weigh the pros and cons depending on your situation. So one of them is a HELOC, right? So that's called a home equity line of credit, or a HELOC. And that's adjustable rate, which can be kind of tricky in this environment because the rate could adjust higher as the economy slows down, which could be a tough situation to be in. But it's a flexible type of product. So you can tap into it as you need, which is something that a lot of people like to do. And then there's a home equity loan, and that's fixed payments, and that is more stable, which could be better for somebody in this environment. But once you take out the loan, you can't kind of draw on it and take any more than the initial loan that you took out. And then there's a cash out refinance, and that's where you essentially replace your current mortgage with the new one and for some cash. Now, that's not favorable for people in this environment because with cash out refinance rates at, let's say, 7%, when you have most people have low mortgage rates and at 2 or 3, 3%, 4% from the pandemic, then that's not really favorable for them. But you really have to kind of weigh it for your own situation.
Yeah, I'm wondering how maybe tapping into your home equity could work against you, create more debt for you. Explain the road you could go down if you don't go about this the right way and pay on time.
Yeah, definitely. In theory, it's a good idea. You can tap into your equity if you need cash to pay your medical bills or just to keep your head above water. But there is the risk that you could potentially lose your home if you miss the payments. And that is a huge risk that I always tell people and reinforce that, because if you lose your home, that's a you're already in a slowing economy. And if you lose your home, that could make the situation even worse. So it's important to kind of weigh the pros and cons and make sure, one, why are you deciding to take out a HELOC or home equity loan or a cash out refinance? Is there a good reason? If you want to do it for a vacation, that's not a good reason. But to make ends meet, that would be a good reason. And then understand, can you repay this? If the economy slows down, are you going to be able to repay this? And that's something that I want a lot of people to really kind of weigh the pros and cons before they go ahead and do this.
Yeah, off camera, you and I were talking about maybe you want to work on your house and invest in your house, do a big, project. But that can get expensive really quick. Curious, what would be the ultimate red flag signs that would tell you to hold off from dipping into your home equity at this point?
Well, one thing is, first thing, you need enough equity in your home, right? You can't just say, well, I want to take out a home equity loan, and then maybe you just bought your home, and then your down payment was tiny, and then you haven't put a lot of equity into your home. So that's one thing. And another thing is to make sure that your finances are stable. And I know in this environment, one may think that their job is stable, and it very well may be, but you never know what's going to happen with this economy. And if you potentially lose your job, you could miss out on the payments. So if you think your job is not stable, I would say definitely don't do it, because there's a lot of uncertainty out there. We're talking about the impact of tariffs, the trade war, inflation, a lot of things have a lot of people worried. So I would say really kind of create a checklist and decide if it's right for you based on that.
Yeah, maybe work on budgeting in the meantime. Well, Linda, thank you so much for joining us. A lot of great advice here as a lot of people look at, should they move? Should they stay home and, invest in their homes? So thank you so much for taking the time to be with us.
My pleasure.